Hey everybody, good morning. Those of you who are here early and on the Johnny's on the spot. We're gonna have a little contest today. Well, a contest. I don't know if it's a contest. Well, I don't know. I'll call it a contest, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Plus, there's a lot going on in the world, and we'll get to it. But I just had to laugh about this one thing to start the show as soon as we play the intro, which is now. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog Studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, P. Dog Night. And stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, P-Dog Night. It is a beautiful Wednesday, November 20th, 2019. And I had to laugh. I saw this on Twitter before I went to work this morning, bright and early at the lovely 3 a.m. hour, and I just happened to glance at my phone. And it was hilarious. And I made it the title. I made it just everything about our stream today. And that's what our contest is going to be, because this just cracks me up. It is hilarious to me. Apparently, you know how sometimes Hollywood makes some really weird casting decisions or just has some weird casting ideas. Well, I saw that Julia Roberts was trending this morning. And I'm like, why the hell is Julia Roberts trending? What did she do? Did something happen to her? Did something weird go on? Well, weird is a good word for it. Apparently, some movie studio executive wanted to cast Julia Roberts as Harriet Tubman. Now, for those of you who may not be from the States and not know who Harriet Tubman is, Harriet Tubman, former slave, one of the big names in the world of the Underground Railroad that helped basically smuggle slaves to the north so they could get out of slavery. Apparently, Harriet, the movie's out right now, by the way. Harriet screenwriter and producer Gregory Allen recently recalled a meeting from 1994 during which a studio executive suggested Julia Roberts for the role of Harriet Tubman. Here's the Here's the article from Entertainment Weekly, I believe this is. Julia Roberts was suggested to play Harriet Tubman by a studio exec, says Harriet screenwriter. When someone pointed out that Roberts couldn't be Harriet, the executive responded, "It was so long ago, no one's going to know the difference." Yeah, I'm sure all those black folks who know all about Harriet Tubman, and not even black, just anyone who knows anything about history. I mean, this is a pretty significant person in the history of the United States. Most, if anyone, now granted, not that, African American history is always out there, but I think this is one of those significant people in history that most people would know who it is if they listened in history class in high school, because it's one of those few people that always gets mentioned. It's I don't know. Anyway, if you were to think out of the most out of left field actresses to play Harriet Tubman in a movie, you still wouldn't stumble across the person one executive allegedly suggested. Harriet, the historical drama based on Tubman's life released earlier this month, stars Cynthia Erivo, but the film's screenwriter and producer Gregory Allen Howard says when he first started working on the movie in 1994 that one studio executive suggested Julia Roberts to portray the legendary slave turned abolitionist. Yes, that Julia Roberts, a.k.a. Pretty Woman, In a Q&A with Allen published earlier this month by Harriet Studio Focus Features and reiterated in an LA Times essay published Tuesday, Allen recalled how the climate in Hollywood was very different some 25 years ago. I was told how one studio head said in a meeting, "The script is fantastic. Let's get Julia Roberts to play Harriet Tubman," Allen explained. When someone pointed out that Roberts couldn't be Harriet, the executive responded, "It was so long ago, no one's going to know the difference." And there they are, Julia Roberts and Harriet Tubman. Spitting image, by the way. I can barely tell them apart. Thankfully, for everyone involved, Roberts was not cast as Tubman. Decades later, the film has become a reality, which Allen said is thanks to two groundbreaking films that changed the game for representation. Oh, good God. Now, this is stupid. Okay, not these. I'm going to read this and I'm going to go. Okay. They do mention the movie that I was going to mention. Anyway, when 12 Years a Slave became a hit and did a couple $100 million worldwide, I told my agent, "You can't say this kind of story won't make money now." Then Black Panther really blew the doors open. As if Black Panther was the first movie featuring black people that made money, but I understand where they're going here. The writer who's also behind acclaimed movies Remember the Titans and Ali, Ali did really well. Remember the Titans did really well. Why did he go to 12 Years a Slave? His own movies did really well. Anyway, also discuss why he chose Arivo, an African-British actress, to play an African-American activist. Now, there were some people, by the way, when this happened. It happens. It happened the same thing with when they did Selma, and they cast a African-British actor to portray an African American. There's some people in the African American community, in the ADOS community, ADOS standing for American Descendants of Slaves community, that have been kind of pissed off by this kind of stuff. You couldn't find an African American actor. There's plenty of them to play these parts, but I digress. I first saw her when other producers flew me to New York to see her in The Color Purple, Allen said. As soon as she opened her mouth, I thought, yes, that's Harriet. Afterwards, I emailed the other producers. That's Harriet. She's a little stick of dynamite. Tubman's story has long been in various stages of development in Hollywood. Viola Davis was set to produce and star in such a biopic at one point. The new movie, directed by Kazi Lemons, also stars Leslie Odom Jr., who's that's great. He's a great actor. Joe Alwyn and Janelle Monáe, who's the musician. So anyway, I just thought that was hilarious, which got me to thinking. Okay, so I consider this a bad casting idea. So when I saw this, I did my own little hashtag that isn't kicking off yet, but I hope it kind of does. And my hashtag is bad casting ideas. And the first one that came to mind, when they were saying, okay, Julia Roberts is Harriet Tubman. Wow. Maybe. Well, here was my initial response was, where is it? Oh, there it is. I'll just put it on the screen because I thought it was funny. So Julia Roberts is Harriet Tubman. You think that's bad? I remember when they were making that Frederick Douglass movie starring Carrot Top. Bad casting ideas. So anyway, hey, you can help me start getting this one going. I'm putting it in the chat. If you're on Twitter, please retweet that. Do not like it. Retweet it. Because I think it has the potential. I was thinking of other ones, like for example, if they did the life story of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the great 7-foot basketball player, the LA Lakers great, Milwaukee Bucks, UCLA, Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I think since Robert Downey Jr. has experience playing a black person, or at least an actor playing a black person, I think he'd be perfect. Now he's what, 5'6"? So anyway, my chat, not so much contest, but what I'd like you to do to participate as you participate in the chat, I would love for it if you would do me a favor. During the chat, think if you can think of some bad casting ideas. Now, a couple that I thought were hilarious that I went and retweeted myself. One of them, let's see, where is it here? I thought this was great. Oh yeah, Whoopi Goldberg starring in The Diary of Anne Frank. Michael Cera as Shaft. Who's the guy from what's the guy's name that the Bazinga guy from the nerdy TV show? What's that TV show called? Oh God, I can't even think of it. See, I blank out on things like this. But I was trying to think of a great role that he would be just a bad casting idea for, the Arnold Schwarzenegger biopic starring Jim, whatever his name is. So anyway, if you can think of some bad casting ideas, either in the chat or you can reply to my Twitter bad casting idea with your own. In fact, I'd rather you do that. If you're on Twitter, respond to my bad casting ideas with your own bad casting ideas, and we'll check some of those out later if you can remember to do that. Big Bang Theory, thank you. All right, so let's say good morning to everybody. Richo was here early. Actually, it's very late at night for Richo. It's about 1:30 in the morning, but that's okay because Richo is in Australia. Good morning, Richo. You get the bell because you were here first. Good morning, Rolling Bear, Irish Rose, Grillin' Pirate P, Tyler F, Jim Beam, C. Thomas, I think, Wikipedia snippet. And there's and Maddie, Maddie, the news chick, yay! Good morning, everybody. I'm so glad you all are here. Conan O'Brien to star in Conan O'Brien to star in Yes We Can, The Life and Times of Barack Obama. That's a good one. All right. Also, while you're here, those of you who are, I'm sure. Let's see, how many people are rolling in here? We got a handful in here. Okay, a couple things. Please share the video out. There's a little share arrow down there. Hit the share, and Dwayne Johnson is Duke Ellington. That would be a pretty good one. Okay. Okay. All right. Let me finish my thought here. While you're thinking about it, share. And there's a like button. If you like what we do, hit the like button. You don't have to do it now. Maybe you can decide you like it later. Whatever you do. And then also, if you want to do super chats, we don't do them through YouTube, obviously, because I don't have 1,000 subscribers. But we do have the Streamlabs link in the description down below where you can do donations and do super chats. And I will definitely read your super chats during the show. Good morning, Duck Dog. Good morning, Cynical Lindsay. If you're just getting here, the contest today, bad casting ideas, because there was a bad casting idea that we just talked about, which was, let's see, let me get back to this. I think, there we go. The bad casting idea from yesterday was Julia Roberts as Harriet Tubman. I still don't know what this studio exec was thinking. Maybe the studio executive didn't really understand history, but he read the script. Now, and it's not like this was back when when did Tropic Thunder come out? Because actually, I thought Robert Downey Jr. was hilarious in that film, and it was, I think that's the one time where someone is doing blackface in a movie where they aren't getting canceled because of it, because the joke was that he was a white actor trying to portray a black person. And so a lot of black people thought it was funny, and it wasn't, it was making fun of the idea of doing something like that. And so I think that's why he gets kind of a pass on that. A lot of people don't, but he does. And so nobody ever tried to cancel him. By the way, there is somebody getting canceled today, or at least attempted canceling, and we'll get to that when we get into Twitter trends a little bit later. So the contest today, or well, I don't know of a contest, but if you're doing, if you are on Twitter, please, I'm going to put this back in the, let's see here. Where the hell did I do this? What the hell happened here? Hang on a second. I got to be smarter than I look. Sometimes I'm not. Okay, so the contest today is come up with a bad casting idea. You can reply to this particular tweet of mine where you're coming up with bad casting ideas, and I pop them out on Twitter. My number one was the new Frederick Douglass movie starring Carrot Top. Oh man, Brie Larson as Queen Victoria. Oh, that's terrible. And and Piccolo actually had one that he tweeted out here. What was it? I just saw it. It was in my mentions here. Oh, that's not it. What the hell? Hang on. Home and mentions. Oh, here we go. Notifications. Piccolo had one. Macaulay Culkin as Mr. T. Oh, I'm going to have fun with this today. Let's see. I think the exec was trolling because sounds like same arguments made by SGWs when they want race swap, like push for Black Bond or Little Mermaid. Well, no, this is from 1994 when the guy was first deciding that he was going to, when he first had the idea of making a movie about Harriet Tubman, and he held back, and he worked on several other projects in between that, and so now he's decided to do it. Now, the other thing about that too is that's kind of the reason I came up with Carrot Top as Frederick Douglass, because I think the redheads kind of need their revenge, right? So there you go. Mr. T is Kaiser Wilhelm. Oh my God. I pitied a fool. But I'm not going to say that. What I was going to about. I was just about to make it funny, but I'm not going to. Anyway, so I just find this whole situation absurd and yet hilarious. All right, so if you do it, you can either do it on here or do it on Twitter and reply to the tweet that I keep putting in the chat and come up with your own bad casting idea. All right. Now, let's get into some news. Now, I didn't spend a whole lot of time. I listened to, okay, so the impeachment inquiry hearings are going on today. And this morning, Ambassador Sondland, in his opening statement, made some pretty damning accusations against the president. And we'll get to talk about them a little later. But a little bit about yesterday's yesterday's hearings with what's the dude's name? Lieutenant Colonel Alex Vindman. Apparently, the biggest news about his testimony was him correcting Devin Nunes when Devin Nunes said Mr. Vindman, and he said it's Lieutenant Colonel Vindman or whatever. And I kind of got a little heated about that because he got a little snippy with a civilian, and a civilian isn't required to call a military officer by rank. It's common courtesy if you remember to do it, but if a civilian calls you Mr. Vindman, you should not correct them. It is, now if it were an enlisted officer, yes, an enlisted officer would specifically be required to address their superior officer by their rank. Okay? But not so for civilians. A civilian doesn't necessarily have to. So his snippy little lieutenant colonel, most military people are probably cringed when he did that. Oh my gosh, Chris Tucker is Adolf Hitler. Lucy Liu is Condoleezza Rice. See, you get the idea. See, Toms, I know you're not on Twitter. I wish you could do that on Twitter, but you're not. That's okay. Put them in the chat. I'm good with it. What? Hey, okay. What's this? Very funny. All right. I'm even getting notifications. All right. Oh, and thank you, by the way, Drayden's, for retweeting the show. Retweet the show, people. If you're on Twitter, retweet the show. You can like it, but I need you to retweet the show, please. Get your followers going. What the hell is he doing? What's he watching? Hey, all right, I'll click and figure it out. Let's see. Seems to forget. Oh, okay, Sarah Jessica Partner as Seabiscuit. Oh. And the co-starring Stormy Daniels. As Seabiscuit's greatest rival. Oh no! I'm gonna have to try and not read these. Oh my gosh! Okay, we're gonna keep moving along here. That's hilarious. I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. That's hilarious. All right, back to the hearings from yesterday. So this is a Breitbart article. Congressional Democrat. Okay, control yourself. Okay, Congressional Democrats impeachment inquiry into President Donald Trump backfired again on Tuesday when one of the star witnesses, Lieutenant Colonel Alex Vindman, admitted Hunter Biden seemed unqualified to hold an $83,000 per month job with Burisma Holdings. Testifying before the House Intelligence Committee, Vindman told lawmakers he believed Hunter Biden, the youngest son of former Vice President Joe Biden, did not have the necessary qualifications to be on Burisma's board of directors. The company, which is Ukraine's only private oil and gas conglomerate, became central to the impeachment inquiry after Trump suggested the Ukrainian government probe the firm and its ties to the younger Biden. Democrats argued the president's suggestion that the Ukraine probe the matter likely amounted to an impeachable offense at the launch of their inquiry. Trump and his allies, on the other hand, have claimed Hunter Biden's appointment coming around the same time his father was tapped to lead Obama-era policy towards Ukraine and his relative inexperience in the energy industry warrant investigation. Now, another aside, George. Oh my goodness. Jim Carrey's George. I cannot figure out how anybody could reasonably think that the appointment of Hunter Biden to this board of this company, Burisma Holdings, in the Ukraine, a country where he has no experience, has no knowledge of the language, has no experience in the industry with which the company does their business, how anybody can't, well, I know some of us can, but who wouldn't question that? Especially considering that the vice president was the lead person on Ukrainian policy. And suddenly the vice president's son is hired by the board to be on the board of directors to make $83,000 a month, over $3 million so far. Does that pass anyone's smell test? And there are plenty of people on the left who look at that and go, yeah, that don't look so good. Particularly because I follow a lot of people on both the right and the left. Like, in fact, if you just look up Jimmy Dore, Jimmy Dore is not the nicest person on the planet, but I follow him because he's interesting. And if you just look up Jimmy Dore on YouTube and anything that says something about Hunter Biden, and you should be wondering why this guy's getting this $3 million. And in fact, not only Hunter Biden, Nancy Pelosi's son is on the board of a Ukrainian oil firm or energy firm. And John Kerry, who was the Secretary of State, it's funny, around the same time, his stepson also has a job with the Ukrainian energy company. And even Mitt Romney has a son. Now, Mitt Romney's a little bit different story because Mitt Romney wasn't in Congress at the time. And I don't think he was, or excuse me, in the Senate. And I don't think Mitt Romney really wasn't in any office at the time that his son got on the board of one of those companies. And I don't know if maybe it was when he was running for president. Who knows when that happened? But you know what? How did Burisma, what prompted them to call, okay, you're a big energy company in Ukraine, and you're trying to clean up your image and trying to, maybe get some new people on your board of directors, and you think, okay, there's this guy in the United States. He was kicked out of the military. He had a drug habit that he had to kick. But you know what? He started a firm, kind of a business, and so maybe we should put him on our board of directors. Does that, unless his name is Hunter Biden, does that make sense to anybody? Wait a minute, Biden. That name sounds familiar. Are you related to the vice president of the United States? Well, yes, I am. Now, how can that not be corruption? And so now granted, also during the hearings that day, Vindman was, and it's probably not in this article, but I was watching it, and they were talking about, because the Democrats want to make this about the president bribing and or extorting and or quid pro quo to investigate his political opponents. Now, when they were reading some memos and text messages that were related to this, one of the text messages from one of the officials that they were talking about specifically mentioned them wanting to investigate things from the 2016 election. Never mentioned the part about the Bidens. Okay, but that part about the meddling in the 2016 election, they wanted to get get down to the bottom of what happened and what was Ukraine's role, because there had been these articles saying that, oh yes, the Ukrainians were also working with trying to make sure that Hillary Clinton was elected and not Trump, because they had their beef with Trump because Trump mentioned that one thing about Crimea, saying, not sure who that's a disputed territory and yada, yada, yada. And the Ukrainians were like, no, that's ours. We don't want him. And so there was Ukrainian people writing op-eds. They were working with Hillary Clinton and DNC, and there's a whole article about that. So, if that was wrong for one campaign to supposedly coordinate with the Russians, which we find out that they didn't, then you would think that the same standard would apply to the Democrats, right? You would think, okay, well, there is this article saying that there was some coordination between the Democrats and the Ukrainians. So isn't that the same thing? So I can understand why they might want to look into that. Okay, that's corruption also, right? But we don't want to talk about that because, remember, Democrats. Okay? And so the Democrats are quick to call that a conspiracy theory. But that's the only written things in that memo were concerning about the corruption from the prior election. Which got me to thinking, and I listened to that part, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Now, no one seems to be making the point that came into my head immediately. The immediate point that came into my head was, wait a minute. Okay, so somebody was briefed before the call that President Trump made to Zelensky. Somebody was briefed, and so they knew something about the fact that he was going to mention something about the corruption that they wanted to know. They wanted, because remember, Bill Barr and John Durham were making a trip there to ask some questions, right? And so they knew that Bill Barr was coming. So they were briefed on that. And so they knew that he might say something about the corruption from the 2016 American election. What was their involvement? You know, does this, now the CrowdStrike thing, I don't know. So the president gets on the phone and he mentions that, but the president also knows about this situation with the Bidens, where Biden was bragging to the whatever Chamber of Commerce, whatever he was bragging to, that he, you either fire this prosecutor or you're not going to get the $1 billion, right? Now, the optics of that, when Biden said that, he probably didn't think of how bad the optics were, because, his son worked for the company being investigated at the time. So the president, the people who were briefing Zelensky's people didn't know he was going to mention that. That came up as an afterthought, because when the president said something about, hey, do us if you can do us a favor, we want to get behind what's going on with the 2016 election and what happened here, and he mentioned CrowdStrike and all this other stuff, and because he knew that the Attorney General is looking into that. That was the, could you do me a favor? Was it a quid pro quo? I don't know. Quid pro quo is pretty standard in diplomatic relations with many countries around the world. Not illegal. And is that regarding Trump's election, or is that regarding corruption? It is corruption. It's a corruption investigation. Now, it just so happens also to benefit Trump. Okay. Now, but then he brings up the thing about Biden, but that's corruption too, right? Why is the vice president's son getting this super dreamy job in one of the more corrupt countries in the world, while the vice president of the United States is dealing with that one of the most corrupt countries in the world? Okay, so that's a legitimate corruption, issue. Just happens to be that Biden person is also running for the president of the United States. But is that interfering with the election? What if he is corrupt? What if there were some backroom deals? What if Biden took a bribe? Is that something you want to find out? Maybe. Now, I'm not accusing Biden of bribe, okay? But you get my point. So, perhaps, there's some legit reasons to be talking about that. Anyway, back here. Okay, Democrats argued that the president's suggestion that Ukraine probe the matter likely amounted to an impeachable offense at the launch of their inquiry. Trump and his allies, on the other hand, have claimed that Hunter Biden's appointment, coming around the same time his father was tapped to lead Obama-era policy towards Ukraine, and his relative inexperience in the energy industry, warrant investigation. I bet you if the names were, if the name was not Hunter Biden, and the name were Donald Trump Jr., do you think the Democrats would be investigating that? Do you think it'd be on their list of things that they're trying to find wrong with the president to impeach him? Because they've been doing that since he was elected. Since before he was inaugurated, they were trying to find impeachable offenses, right? If it was Donald Trump Jr. instead of Hunter Biden, would they be investigating this? Hell yes. Anyway, Vindman, who serves as the Director of European Affairs for the United States National Security Council, seemed to give credence to the president's concern on Tuesday when appearing before Congress. Quote, as far as I can tell, he didn't seem to be qualified, end quote, the lieutenant colonel said when asked about the younger Biden's role. As Peter Schweitzer, senior contributor at Breitbart News, detailed in his book Secret Empires: How the American Political Class Hides Corruption and Enriches Families and Friends, Hunter Biden had no prior experience with either the energy industry or Ukraine before joining Burisma in April 2014. In fact, his background in investment banking, lobbying, and hedge fund management paled in comparison to that of current and past members of the company's board of directors. Adding to concerns is the fact, at the time Hunter Biden joined Burisma, the company was seen as actively courting Western leaders to prevent further scrutiny of its business practices. The same month Hunter Biden was tapped for the group's board, the government of Great Britain froze accounts belonging to Zlochevsky under suspicion of money laundering. Zlochevsky, a former Ukrainian minister of natural resources, would later be accused of corruption for using his office to approve oil and gas licenses to companies under his control. A Ukrainian official with strong ties to Zlochevsky admitted in October the only reason that Hunter Biden secured the appointment was to protect the company from foreign scrutiny. The claim has credence given that at the time, Joe Biden, as the sitting vice president, was tasked with leading the Obama administration's policy towards Ukraine in response to the Russian invasion of Crimea. It is in this context of Burisma and Zlochevsky's legal troubles that Joe Biden's political influence has raised the most red flags. The former vice president has particularly drawn questions over his conduct in demanding the Ukrainian government fire its top prosecutor, Viktor Shokin, in 2016. Joe Biden, who has publicly bragged about the firing, reportedly threatened to withhold more than $1 billion in U.S. aid if the Ukrainian government did not remove Shokin. Now, no matter what the reason he did that, whether it was legitimate or because his son was on the board of Burisma, we keep hearing the words quid pro quo. Now, again, quid pro quo is not illegal. Okay, because we know that, in fact, Biden bragged, again, I'll read it again, Joe Biden, who has publicly bragged about the firing, reportedly threatened to withhold more than $1 billion in U.S. aid if the Ukrainian government did not remove Shokin. That would be called, well, it could be called two things. It could be called quid pro quo, or what they seem to be calling it in these hearings when they have examples of the president possibly doing something similar, they're calling it extortion or bribery. In any case, which, remember, extortion and bribery are two different things. So in any case, they that's what it is. So clearly, this was a quid pro quo. You do this and you get this if you do it right, the way we want you to. So, anyway. Unofficially, though, it was known that Shokin was investigating both Burisma and Zlochevsky for public corruption. It is uncertain if the probe extended to Hunter Biden, although Shokin has recently admitted that prior to his ouster, he was warned to back off the matter. Interesting. He was warned to back off the matter. I wonder why. Regardless of what occurred, Shokin's successor, who is now himself being investigated for public corruption, dropped the investigation into Burisma and Zlochevsky. When asked about Biden orchestrating the pressure campaign from Ukraine to fire Shokin on Tuesday, Vindman refused to characterize the former vice president's conduct as wrong. Vindman's refusal came despite the fact that another of the inquiry's star witnesses, for the former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, Marie Yovanovitch, testified on Friday that Shokin's probe into Burisma was still open at the time of his dismissal. It wasn't an active case, but it also was not fully closed, Yovanovitch told lawmakers before elaborating that at the time, Shokin was opting to keep a hook into Burisma and Zlochevsky. So, there you go. It's okay when you do it. Okay, yep. Here you go. See, Thomas, exactly. It's okay, Democrats. It's okay when we do it, just not you. You're correct. Hey, a couple more good mornings. Good morning, Diesel Dave. I see you popped in. Good morning with the traditional "What's up, fuckers?" And also, good morning, John Boy and Lamoka, Lamoka or Lamocha. I'm gonna say Lamoka because it's like a little bit of warm chocolate. Anyway, and MC, it's hammer time. Uh oh. All right. Moving on. What else do I got here? Shoot. I dang it. I closed the wrong tab. Let's get the right tab back open here because I had more, but now I'm gonna have to find it again. Let's see. Oh, now there's some people who are not happy with Alexander Vindman. And again, this is a Breitbart article, so take it with the very important grain of salt that's required. Just if you know, because I'm you know what, I know that Breitbart is a right site, but I, you know what, don't mean they're a wrong site. Hey, Zombie Teddy, how you doing? Okay, war heroes. There's some more heroes. War heroes who have slammed Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, a National Security Council official who testified Tuesday in the impeachment inquiry, a third public hearing. Vindman, who served as director of Eurasia at the NSC, testified that after listening to the July 25 phone call between President Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, he went to the NSC lawyer to report his concerns about the call. Specifically, Vindman testified that he thought it was wrong that Trump brought up investigations into allegations of whether Ukraine interfered in the 2016 elections, as well as allegations surrounding Hunter Biden's seat on the board of Ukrainian natural gas company, whose executive was being investigated for corruption. By the way, I'm going to have another sign. Shaq is King Edward III. Well, I'll explain that in a minute. I'll explain why people are making some weird, not weird, but my contest today, for those of you who just got here. In the chat, or particularly if you want to, in my, if you want to reply to this on Twitter, I just put it in the chat. I am asking you to participate in our contest today. We're finding... now I forgot what it was. Silly me. Bad casting ideas in honor of the Julia Roberts being suggested to play Harriet Tubman back in 1994. So if you had a bad casting idea, please put it in the chat or reply to my Twitter bad casting idea. Mine was what is it? Frederick Douglass, the Frederick Douglass story, starring Carrot Top. All right. Hey, Seamus, how you doing? All right. Now where was I? Oh, the war heroes bashing Mr. Vindman. So Vindman testified that he did not have concerns whether it was illegal or a crime, but said he found it morally wrong. Well, wait a minute. He didn't have concerns whether it was illegal or a crime, but he said he found it morally wrong. Well, that's an opinion. Good God, that's an opinion. Anyway, he also testified that he advised the Ukrainians not to get involved in U.S. domestic politics. Well, yeah, but if it's concerning corruption in your own country, that's not getting involved in U.S. domestic politics. You have a corruption agreement between the two countries, remember? Anyway, Vindman's testimony rubbed some military veterans the wrong way, including prominent war heroes. Mark Geist, a Marine who fought off terrorists during the 2012 Benghazi terrorist attack on the U.S. annex in Libya, tweeted, "Vindman is a disgrace to all who have served." Transcript of his previously closed testimony, he clearly admits to undermining the POTUS foreign policy, and now he has Chairman Schiff advising him on how to answer questions. Yeah, that was kind of weird. You have to go back and watch it yourself, but yeah, Schiff was telling him giving him advice on what he should and shouldn't say. I don't know. Anyway, Rob O'Neill, the Navy SEAL who killed Osama bin Laden, also criticized Vindman as an operative. Quote, I agree. Oh, because Donald Trump said anyone listening to Vindman stammer through his seemingly trying to remember the catchphrases he was well coached on should get that. He's a low-level partisan bureaucrat and nothing more. Robert O'Neill agrees with the president. I wish the left wouldn't use his uniform to make him a saint. He's an operative with an agenda. Kind of feels that way in a way. But it's funny because, Jim Jordan is pretty good at asking questions and had Vindman flustered. But anyway, Jonathan T. Gilliam, another well-known Navy SEAL, tweeted, "This guy reeks of spy. Vindman should be added to the list of deep staters that should be charged with conspiracy to overthrow Donald J. Trump." And Tim Kennedy, a mixed martial arts fighter and current National Guard member, tweeted, "Correcting a civilian about how to be addressed is a for sure way to make everyone in the military think you are a douchebag." And here it is. Here's where Vindman corrects Devin Nunes. It's this is dumb. Oh, wait, hang on. It'll pop up here. So here it is.
Mr. Vindman, you testified in your deposition that you did not know the whistleblower.
Ranking member, it's Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, please.
Okay, now, this is what I was talking about. So, within the military, it is required for enlisted personnel and even NCOs, non-commissioned officers, to refer to officers in the military by their rank. So if you were speaking to a colonel and say it's Colonel Sanders, okay, you cannot say Mr. Sanders. A military personnel must refer to Colonel Sanders as Colonel Sanders or Sir, okay? However, civilians, there is no requirement for that. In fact, in theory, civilians rank over military personnel in theory, okay? So when if a civilian says to you, mistakenly says Mr. Sanders, okay, there's no reason to correct them, okay? It's a courtesy but not a requirement for civilians. And same with Congress. And so this douchebag decides to correct Devin Nunes. And here it is again.
Mr. Vindman, you testified in your deposition that you did not know the whistleblower.
Ranking member, it's Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, please.
Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, you testified in the deposition that you did not know who the whistleblower was.
Okay, and so Nunes didn't care, but he went, and out of courtesy he referred to him as Lieutenant Colonel Vindman. But most people in the military are going to cringe, and this guy did when he did that. And so he said, like he said, correcting a civilian about how to be addressed is for sure way to make everyone in the military think you are a douchebag. During his testimony, Vindman corrected House Intelligence Committee ranking member Devin Nunes, Republic of California, for calling him Mr. Vindman. And as you saw, Vindman interrupted him. So anyway, now you're hungry for chicken. Okay, Sophie Teddy. Sigourney Weaver for Marco Ramius in the remake of Hunt for Red October. There you go. See, you're getting it. All right. Vindman is Jewish and was involved with the Russian mafia at Brighton Beach. What? I don't even know what that means. Hi, Jen T. Good morning. So anyway, yeah, Vindman was I don't want to disparage Vindman. He is a Purple Heart veteran of a actual conflict. But man, he just came off as just a little, douchey is a pretty good word for it. I don't know. And really, and his, I don't know, his testimony was weird. Anyway, all right, let's move on. Let's see what else I got here. Did I read this article yesterday or not? Maybe I did. So this is interesting. Oh, I think I did read this yesterday. Did we do the Nellie Orr story and the Fusion GPS story? Well, I'm going to go through it again just because. So, memo given to Fusion GPS described Ukrainian lawmaker as potential conduit for publicizing information. So, in May 2016, a memo provided to Fusion GPS could help settle an enduring mystery about how a Ukrainian lawmaker served as a source for the opposition research firm which investigated Donald Trump and his campaign on behalf of the Democratic National Committee and the Clinton campaign. Now remember, foreign election interference, digging for dirt from a foreign entity is supposed to be verboten. But, hey, Diesel Dave. The memo, which the Daily Caller News Foundation... Oh, I read this in the afternoon yesterday. The memo, which the Daily Caller News Foundation obtained earlier in 2019, cited information from multiple Ukrainian sources regarding Paul Manafort, the now former Trump campaign chairman. One of the sources named in the document is Sergei Lushenko, a former Ukrainian journalist who served in 2016 as a member of Rada, Ukraine's parliament. The memo author described meeting with Lushenko, and suggested he could be used as a potential conduit to publicize information about Manafort. Does that sound like collusion to you? It sounds like collusion to me. It should be noted that Lushenko regularly advocates on anti-corruption matters and cooperates with various non-governmental organizations to that end, so he could potentially be a good conduit for publicizing information, reads the memo, which was drafted May 12, 2016. The author also suggested the potential dissemination of information to or through Lushenko. Republican lawmakers have raised questions about Lushenko's possible links to Fusion GPS, citing testimony that former Fusion contractor Nellie Orr gave Congress in 2018. They were giving me some information that had originated with Lushenko in some way, testified Orr, who was a researcher for Fusion GPS from October 15 through September 2016. Remember, Nellie Orr is married to Bruce Orr, who's in the Justice Department, who's also entangled in all this Russiagate stuff. And so this is where they were getting at. So apparently it's some kind of a conduit here where some of this information was coming from people in the Ukraine. Huh? What? What is it? Are we lagging a little bit? Are we lagging? I had dropped some frames 2 minutes ago, apparently. Let's see. Hang on here, guys. Is it, okay, it looks like we're going again. Anyway, so, where was I here? The memo, which is entitled Ukrainian Inquiries into Relation to Paul Manafort, May 2016, could explain the gap between Orr's testimony and Lushenko's insistence that he was not a Fusion GPS source. Maybe, or maybe not, people from Fusion GPS represented themselves differently as political consultants or something like that, he told the Daily Caller News Foundation in an October email. On May 31st, 2016, weeks after the memo was drafted, Lushenko first revealed financial documents which have been dubbed the Black Ledger. Now, if you remember, they came up with this Black Ledger thing that that supposedly were showing these transactions that Manafort did. It had to do with money laundering, and then they later figured out that this particular Black Ledger could have been counterfeits, not real. And so now they're trying to find out, well, wait a minute, where'd this thing come from? That purportedly showed off the books cash payments made by the Party of Regions, the party that supported former Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych. Manafort was a consultant for Yanukovych from 2004 through 2014 when the notoriously corrupt politician was deposed from office. Manafort was linked to the Black Ledger months later on August 15, 15, 2016, the New York Times broke a story that the document showed 22 payments totaling $12.7 million to Manafort between 2007 and 2012. Well, if it was published in the New York Times, you know it was wrong. Anyway, Lushenko held another press conference to publicize the revelation. I believe and understand the basis of these payments are totally against the law. We have the proof from these books, he said at a press conference in Kiev. Kiev, now we know it's pronounced Kiev, not Kiev. Hey, the gayest person on YouTube is here. Welcome. I think, an RVA, how you doing? Okay. Kiev. It's called Kiev, not Kiev. Well, Ukrainians call it Kiev, and everywhere else in the world it's called Kiev, because I love me some chicken Kiev, but apparently it's chicken Kiev now. If Mr. Manafort denies any allegations, I think he has to be interrogated into this case and prove his position that he was not involved in any misconduct on the territory of Ukraine. Manafort denied receiving the off-the-book payments, but was nonetheless fired from the Trump campaign. He was convicted by the special counsel's investigation on money laundering and tax charges related to income from his Ukraine work, though the Black Ledger was not introduced as evidence at his trial. Now that's interesting. The Daily Caller News Foundation obtained the memo from a source who has conducted research for Fusion GPS and said the document was provided to the firm. Metadata from the memo shows that it was drafted May 12, 2016. The memo does not include the name of an author, and there is no reference in the document to Fusion GPS. The Daily Caller News Foundation source requested that they not be identified and asked that the document not be published in full. And then the source provided the name of an author for the memo, but DNCF could not confirm that person wrote the documents and is therefore not identifying the person. And then it's unclear whether Fusion GPS paid the author for the document. Fusion GPS, which was founded by 3 former Wall Street Journal reporters, has a handful of full-time staffers and uses... What the hell's going in there? Why is this not clicking? Oh, did this freeze? This page? My page froze. Okay, well, we're going to close it down. I'm having some frame issues. All right, I'm going to close this because there's probably something playing on this. There we go. That I don't want. Anyway, so more intrigue from that company called Fusion GPS, and just how it is. Thank you, Grill and Pirate Pete, for retweeting out the show. I appreciate that. All right, it is almost the top of the hour, so it's almost time to get it. I'm gonna start doing my Twitter trends at the top of the hour because I've been getting out of here too late, and I'm always late to what I'm due after this. So I'm gonna start doing it at the top of the hour, and then if I get done with them quickly, I can just follow up with some things at the end. By the way, as you can see in the chat, periodically you'll see the Streamlabs moderator putting up my Twitter feed. Please follow me on Twitter. This side at PDogKnight. It's also the same for Minds and Gabs. Also, the super chat links are in the stream. It says you can click them. It doesn't show that I can click them though. I might have to. I know why. I didn't put the full link, so I'll have to change that when I reset my settings. All right, let's get into Twitter trends because there's a lot of good stuff today. Starting with, I know for a fact that, it is number one. I knew it would be trending number one by the time we got to this part of the show. As you know, Ambassador Sondland, the U.S. ambassador to the European Union, is testifying before the House Intelligence Committee as we speak. Let's see. Everyone's just excited about certain things. Let's see. So first of all, the impeachment hearings, Sondland says there was a quid pro quo in his opening statement. Okay, but I chuckle because a quid pro quo, like I said, a quid pro quo is not illegal. Okay, that's not, but whatever. He said there was a quid pro quo. Now, some people are excited. Volker text. I'm not in the loop. Sondland today. Everyone was in the loop. Well, that'll be interesting. But then again, now Legal Insurrection says Sondland just took all the air out of media impeachment cheerleading this morning by, what did he say? EU Ambassador Gordon Sondland says, President Trump never told me directly the aid was conditioned. The aid was my own personal guess. To use the analogy 2 + 2, I never heard from President Trump that aid was conditioned on investigations. I never heard those words. Also, now that's interesting because from the testimony yesterday, many of these people met several times with the Ukrainian president, Zelensky, between the time of July 25th and the time that the aid was released. And the president of Ukraine, nobody in the Ukrainian government ever mentioned anything about, well, okay, yep, we're going to get that done for you. We're going to get those investigations started for you. We're going to announce this to publicly that we're doing the investigation. No one ever said that. In fact, most have never even asked about it. So clearly, if you actually listen to all the testimony, the Ukrainians didn't ask about fulfilling the supposed, the quid, right? The quid, the part that they were supposed to do to get the quo, but they never mentioned it to any of these other people, even just out of, in normal conversation. You would think that if they knew that they were going to be required to do some public announcements of some investigations, and over a 6-month period, or 55-day period, I should say, over a 55-day period, speaking to ambassadors and whatever representatives, you would think one of them would go, hey, yeah, no, we're working on that thing the president wants us to work on. And yet, yes, Eric Swalwell did let his air out too. Although I think it's Chris Matthews. We'll get to that in a second. I think it was Chris Matthews who farted, and there's some evidence for that. Okay. They didn't ever ask about it in between the time of that president's call that supposedly he was, doing his mafia shakedown, and the time that they released the aid. The Ukrainians, they did ask about, they found out the aid was being held up because of a Politico article, but because they didn't, until the Politico article came out, they didn't know that. But not once would they, if you think if the United States, your country, and the United States is requiring you to do something in order to get X number of dollars in military aid, because you've been getting military aid from the United States for the last 2 years from this administration, that because the prior administration wasn't giving that aid anyway, so you're getting it from this administration. You're actually getting the able to buy the rockets or whatever missiles, whatever you need, the anti-tank, what do they call it? Anyway, the anti-tank guns. You're finally getting it from this administration, and then the third year where you're getting it from this administration, apparently you're supposed to be doing something for that administration before you get more aid. Wouldn't you mention that to the ambassadors and different people who come talk to you between the time that supposedly the president made this call where you're being shook down and the time that you actually get the aid? Would anybody from that company mention, hey, we're working on it. We know you want us to do this. We're working on it. We're going to get it done. We're going to do it. But they didn't. They didn't mention it once. Anyway. And again, the President Trump never told me directly the aid was conditioned. The aid was my own personal guess. Oh, well, that's my personal guess. That's convincing. To use the analogy 2 + 2, I never heard from President Trump that the aid was conditioned on investigations. I never heard those words. Okay, well, there you go. In a court of law. Two things. Okay, so now this is interesting. Someone here says two things are both true. Sondland appears to be hiding his own personal complicity in the push to investigate Biden. Okay, is that wrong? And the evidence Sondland chose to present on the existence of a quid pro quo is absolutely devastating. How so? Okay, how is it devastating? But Giuliani represented he was speaking for Trump. The Secretary of State and ambassadors understood thus as well and took directions and actions based on this. Okay. I get, but anyway, so Sondland is, this testimony is going to be, they're certainly jumping over it. Now, Laura Walker, Sondland is in tricky water here. He's trying to avoid a perjury charge, but his claim of ignorance about the military aid being tied to announcing the investigations is boxed in by other testimony and his own prior statements. Okay. Sondland, I never heard from President Trump that the aid was conditioned on an announcement. Goldman, so you never heard those specific words? Sondland, right. Never heard those words. Golden, let's move ahead. So different people are different. You know what? Here's my take and why I probably really don't even like talking about this as much as I suppose I like talking about it, but here's the problem with this whole thing. Democrats are going to hear what they want to hear. Republicans are going to hear the parts they want to hear. And most of the American people aren't even listening. That's the funny thing about it. Most of the other people, so most of the American people aren't listening. So they're only going to go to their favorite news outlets where most of the mainstream Mockingbird, corporate media that hates Trump is only going to let out the little snippets that they like. And then the other side of the media that loves Trump, that support the right, the Breitbarts and the Fox News are only going to put out their little snippets of what they hear. Now, interestingly enough, at least like if you take Fox News, for example, there are people over there who are just reporting it as news and are giving you more of the story. Which is used to be, the idea that you would actually get more of the story on Fox News than you would from CNN, who used to pretend to be neutral, but clearly their news president, Zucker, is all anti-Trump all the time. Zucker is specifically told the CNN people, hey, you gotta, we're going to talk about Trump because that's what sells news, and we're going to, everything bad about Trump gets on our station, and you get perks when you talk bad about Trump. So you got Brian Stelter, and Don Lemon, and Chris Cuomo, and everyone on CNN might as well all be on MSNBC, although they're not quite as conspiracy minded as Rachel Maddow, for example. But it's all, it's all conspiracy over there too. Now Sondland's testimony is a public relations win for the Democrats because, according to Jack Posobiec, right. But okay, so Tim Pool says already the left is cheering Sondland for confirming quid pro quo into investigating Biden in 2016. Sondland said Burisma in 2016. There's a huge difference, but it doesn't matter. Because everyone's fucking nuts. Well, Posobiec says, right, but the White House made a big deal about saying no quid pro quo instead of explaining Ukraine corruption. So that testimony is devastating for the White House, and it is a PR win for the Dems. It just is. Now, okay, and then here, okay, now, well, the Hill actually good. Now, the Hill, I read Hill headlines all the time, and 90% of the time, the Hill is seems to be, now it may not be, but seems to be on the Democrat side. But here at least the Hill mentioned that President Trump never told me directly that the aid was conditioned on the meetings. Goldman emphasizing other witnesses' actual memories and notes are more authoritative than Sondland not recalling something incriminating from them. Standard trial technique, build a wall out of bricks of evidence. Mr. Sondland, would you like to implicate anyone in crimes? Okay, that's kind of, I find that humorous. Sondland gets it. People love pizzazz. Okay, so anyway, Gordon Sondland, the ambassador to the what is it? European Union. He's trending number 1, and he will be most of the day. Grammys are trending number 2. Apparently, Grammy nominations are out. Let's see who are the big people are. Oh, Little Nas X. What's that? Old Town Road? That's his song. Yeah, he's famous off of one song that you just can't stand hearing anymore. Billie Eilish, never heard of it. And Lizzo racked up 20 nominations. Oh, isn't this special? Michelle Obama received her first Grammy nomination. What are the odds? What are the odds that Michelle Obama will win a Grammy this year? What are your odds, folks? And 1 to 1, it would be 100%. In fact, I'm going to put my odds for Michelle Obama winning a Grammy this year. or you could just go like this. Where's that? There it is. There you go. Her chances of winning an Emmy are 100. Let's see. Do I care about the Grammys? Not really. I don't. I can't. All right. Number 3, Gordon Sondland's trending number 3. Also, AP Rocky, as in ASAP Rocky. I wonder why AP Rocky is trending. Oh, because Gordon Sondland called him AP. Here's why.
True that the president speaks loudly at times, and it's also true. I think we primarily discussed ASAP Rocky. It's true that the president speaks loudly at times, and it's also true.
And I don't know. Okay. Rocky's name is now officially in the congressional record of a presidential impeachment inquiry. So, yeah, ASAP Rocky is in the congressional record now. I didn't even think of that. All right, there you go. Moving on. Devin Nunes is trending because everyone who's against the president hates Devin Nunes because, Devin Nunes is the president's... oh, my God. Devin Nunes is a traitor. Vindell Williams all confirmed the whistleblower report, and many, including Sondland, expressly say there was a quid pro quo. The Republicans are left with no fact witnesses who were actually involved. All they got is Devin Nunes innuendo. The whole hearsay defense is over. Oh, okay. What do you think Nunes' first question is going to be? Will it be about ratings and drug deals again? All right, so whistleblower testimony is necessary for a full and fair understanding of all relevant facts, Devin Nunes said. He's trending because a lot of people hate him. So, all right, moving on. Wednesday Wisdom is right up there next. And let's see. Here's our Wednesday Wisdom for the day. The proper thing to do is to fit the new to the old, to respect, not to ignore the past. The hills have been there for 1,000,000 years, the oak trees for 100 or more, apple trees for 50. If we need to build, the old must govern the new. That's from C.R. Milne. I don't know if that's my. Let's see. Here's another one. Your mindset changes everything. You can achieve what your mind believes. Okay, cool. There we go. There's a good one. That coffee was free and that... What? I wish that children didn't grow up so quickly, that dogs lived longer, that coffee was free. And that more minds were open. That's full screen. So you can see the whole thing. That is the Wednesday Wisdom for the day. That's the official Wednesday Wisdom for the day. All right, moving on. Let's get out of Wednesday Wisdom. What comes after that? Oh my God. Oh. President Pelosi is trending. That President Pelosi is trending tells you how absolutely insane and desperate the left has become. They're broken. Trump isn't going anywhere, and even if Republicans decided to remove him, it would be Pence. Sondland is all just secondhand and hearsay, folks. LOL. Sondland on the call. I don't think he was on the call either. Kevin Boykin says Gordon Sondland has implicated Donald Trump and Mike Pence in the Ukraine scandal. Oh, really? If both are impeached or removed from office, it's highly unlikely Republicans will remove both of them, even if they had both committed murder in broad daylight. Then it's President Pelosi. Yeah, she's so that I never did understand. Did she ever explain this clapping thing that she did? AOC for the role of Einstein. By the way, we are still taking nominations for bad casting ideas in the chat and in my Twitter feed. Please respond to my entry, which was Frederick Douglass, played by Carrot Top. I'll just put that in the chat. You can respond. You can either retweet on Twitter, or you can respond to my Twitter, or you can put it in the chat. That was AOC for Einstein. Thank you, C. Thomas. That's awesome. All right. I'm going to tell my kids this is President Pelosi. Yeah, that shit ain't happening. Sorry, folks. I know you. Just, all your wish casting. Oh, this is funny. Someone took that meme, though. Okay, I find that humorous. You know what? When they say the left can't mean, there are a few who can. Okay, that is funny. I don't even know I think it's stupid. I think it's funny, too. They did one. Okay, they get one meme. Moving on, let's see. After AOTY. Okay, I'm going to click it. And if it has anything to do with K-pop, I'm going to click back very quickly. AOTY. All right, let's check it out. Artist of the Year. Okay. I'm not even mad at the nominations as long as Lana wins Artist of the Year and Taylor wins Song of the Year. Huh. Okay. The Grammys committee loves her, and this isn't a shot at her. She makes amazing music. It's just kind of shocking how the committee is so into her music. First two albums both nominated for Artist of the Year. Has that ever happened before? I don't know which her? Which her? I don't even know. Lizzie Ellis? Lizzo? I don't know. Who was her? They didn't even say who her was. Igor didn't get nominated for Artist of the Year. Okay, I don't care. I don't care about the Grammys. I'm moving on. Go to hell. Okay, Quid Pro Quo is trending. Obviously, why? We know the why. Dreamville is trending. Is that someone's album? I think that's, I don't know. Oh, I'm going to tell my kids J. Cole is Jesus Christ and the rest of Dreamville artists are his disciples. Okay. Best rap album, Dreamville, Revenge of the Dreamers is nominated. That's a whole Grammy thing. I'm out of there. Okay. George Washington is trending because Devin Nunes, in his opening statement in the hearing today, I'm not going to click it. I'll click it because people are going to be bitching about Devin Nunes. Mentioned something about if George Washington did something that the Democrats would be trying to impeach him for and whatever. I don't. And of course, Oliver Willis. In his opening statement, Devin Nunes compares Trump's foreign policy, where he sought to trade foreign aid for digging up domestic political smears, to the foreign policy of George Washington in 1794. Washington did not do what Trump did. Okay, yeah, you're right. And I thought Devin Nunes bringing up George Washington was a little silly, but anyway. Now, here's the one I wanted to get to, because I mentioned earlier in the show, we have a cancel culture moment in the trending topics on Twitter today, and that would happen to be with Sir Charles Barkley. I saw someone in the chat was talking about calling me Sir Knight because it's P-Dog Knight, and so if you're a knight, you're a sir. But no, I'm a prince, not a knight. And that's what the P stands for. So there you go. Anyway, Charles Barkley is trending on Twitter today, and this is the one. This is the deep Twitter topic of the day. So apparently, some reporter was was either interviewing or talking to Charles Barkley, and here her name is Alexi McCammond, a reporter covering 2020 and for Axios. Okay, and so he said, here's what she tweeted. Just an FYI, Charles Barkley told me tonight, I don't hit women, but if I did, I would hit you. And then when I objected to that, he told me I couldn't take a joke. Now, wait a minute. And she continues. There are almost no times I will break an OTR agreement off the record. Oh, this was off the record. But this is not okay. And it was all because he came in talking about how he loves Deval Patrick. And once someone from Pete's campaign came around, he said he loved Pete. And I reminded him he previously said he was a Deval fan. Here's a pic, albeit dark and blurry if you need one. Oh, not something to joke about. And it really doesn't surprise me given past comments. You know what? Charles Barkley's a goof, right? He's a goof. Princess. Okay, autocorrect. So Charles Barkley made a joke. All right. Woman waited till she got in the car and started rubbing her hands and said, "It's go time," before she fired up Twitter. Yeah, she had to just tweet about that. So anyway, so people are all up in arms because Charles Barkley made I'm pretty confident he was joking. Breaking, Charles Barkley made a joke, off the record by the way. Woman, if you want to be treated the same as men, you need to understand how they talk to each other. He literally started with, I don't hit women. You don't have to find it funny, but it's no cause for outrage. Now, this is another woman telling her that. It's not some man mansplaining it to her. Okay. And so, you know what? Statement on behalf of Charles Barkley in response to tweet by Axios reporter Alex McCammon. Oh, my comment was inappropriate and unacceptable. It was an attempted joke that wasn't funny at all. There's no excuse for it, and I apologize. So Charles is apologizing. I got a feeling though that it looks like it's a very sincere apology. Let's see. He didn't have to, but way to nip this before woke Twitter gets more upset. I suppose, on a brighter note, anyone being interviewed by Alexi now knows that she does not honor off-the-record agreements. Good thing to know. And she apparently takes everything literal. Better not beat your opponent. Oh, Lord, here we go. Somebody got their feelings hurt. Yeah, now if he'd said that to a guy, hey, you know what? I'm not violent, but I'd love to punch you right now. As a joke, now Googling how not to wake up with swollen, what? I don't even know what that means. Someone made that fun of her. Inexcusable. I'm sorry. Everyone wants that victim moment, and Alexi McCammon has it now. You trying to act like Charles Barkley is out of line over this shit? This man tossed a nigga through a bar window, told the kids he ain't a role model, and got pulled over and told the cop he's trying to get his dick sucked. Terrible. That's terrible. That's just terrible. And there's so many things I want to do, and this is terrible. Maybe Jimmy Kimmel can do a skit about this on his late night show. Live look at Charles Barkley, why Twitter is absolutely destroying him. That's actually 50 Cent, but he's sleeping like a baby. Reporter says Charles Barkley told her, I don't hit women, but if I did, I would hit you. Never acceptable to say that, and it's not a joke. Oh. I love Charles Barkley. The guy says crazy shit. You can't say stuff like that to a woman these days. But this whole damn fire and blah, blah is nonsense. He needs suspension and some HR training. If we monitored what all of you said 24 hours a day, you'd all be fired. Yes, I know I would. I have all the wrong opinions. I know that already. Charles Barkley. Okay, so that, yeah. Why this is news? Of course, she had to tweet it out. Y'all can't cancel Charles Barkley no matter how hard you try. This cancel culture and everyone in that crew can eat a big bag of dicks and stay in 2019 because we hate y'all bullshit. Or all you bullshit. Y'all not about to cancel Charles Barkley, bruh. How soft is this world? I mean, really, out of everything he's done or said, y'all gonna cancel him for some soft ass shit because he was making a joke? You're not allowed to make jokes anymore. You're just not. No, I'm not gonna change my name. It's formerly known as Prince. Charles Barkley out here showing his misogyny again. Oh, hope this one finally gets him fired. Should have happened a long time ago. Greg Worthington. Sean educator, policy PhD student, UTSA, University of Texas San Antonio alum, former man, y'all, please, give me a break. Give me a break. Reporter claims Charles Barkley told her, I don't hit women, but if I did, I would hit you. Okay, so, oh my God. Charles Barkley accused of making violent remarks to a female reporter. Oh my God. Whatever happened to Magic Johnson? Is he still alive? Not sure why. He's just yes, he is. He's alive and kicking. He has several businesses he's involved with. He owns a theater chain out in California that does remarkably well. He's a part owner of both the Los Angeles Lakers and the Los Angeles Dodgers. He has HIV, but he's never apparently it never progressed into AIDS, full-blown AIDS. So, yeah, he's still alive and doing well. Anyway, oh my God. I hate women. Charles Barkley hates everybody. He don't care. He don't care what you think. But it's funny that our people are actually seriously trying to get him fired. Because you can't joke anymore. And this is why men and women can't work together. Okay, all right. I did not say that out loud. I know I didn't. You did not hear me say that out loud. Moving on. Continuum of insidiousness. Now that's an interesting thing to be trending. It must have to be, is it Grant? Oh, now that's something that a phrase Representative Schiff asked Ambassador Sondland about after his testimony. It's quite the title for Trump's Ukraine impeachment imbroglio. A continuum of insidiousness was rejected. Was the rejected sequel to Quantum of Solace? Okay. President Trump should be impeached for committing a continuum of insidiousness, quid pro quo, and other high crimes and misdemeanors with the hashtag clown show. I own the copyright to Continuum of Insidious. Back off, says Todd Zwillich. Apparently, so... Julia Roberts is still trending, but she's been kicked to the curb down to 17. Mr. Giuliani is trending because Sondland was trashing Giuliani in his opening statement. And impeachment in 5 words is going to be the final click of the day on the Twitter trends. Let's see. Impeachment in 5 words. Oh, Jules says goodbye and thanks for nothing. Okay. Maureen Griswold says what goes around comes around. Okay, trying. Karma's sharpening her nails and finishing her drink. She says she'll be with you shortly. Trump. Impeachment in 5 words doesn't get rid of him. Impeachment in 5 words. McConnell will let him off with that face. with the hashtags Ditch Mitch, or what's the other one they use all the time? Cocaine Mitch, or the I don't know, Russian Mitch is Putin's bitch. I don't know, whatever. Putin's Mitch. Impeachment in 5 words. Welcome to the big top. Because it's a clown show, people. It's a clown show. I had the best impeachment, Trump 2030. Not my circus or monkeys. Okay. Rudy Giuliani and Donald Trump, impeachment in 5 words. You are the weakest link. It's a long, slow process. Okay. Scott Sondland just dropping names like a blowy seems minuscule now. So there's some people thinking they're feeling pretty confident about this whole impeachment thing. Well, I guess we'll see. I'm just going to watch and smile and point and laugh like I've been doing pretty much throughout this whole thing. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for being here today. A whole bunch of you came today. I really appreciate it when you all show up. If you haven't done so already, please, before you go, hit the like button. In fact, while you're thinking about it, because the rest of you are here, not all of you have hit that like button. And if you like what I do on the Morning Night Live, let me know. Except for Duck Dog. I know your game, Duck Dog. I know your game. And if you haven't done also, please share the video. The little arrow down below, down somewhere down there. I always never know which hand to use. It's that hand. It's somewhere down. Well, it's more like over there, down over there, somewhere. Hit the share arrow, share this out. Also, if you would be so kind, and in the future, if you want to do super chats and or donations to this show, those are in the Streamlabs link down below. I'm trying to think of. Let me see. If there are any more. What's that word? What am I looking for? Bad casting ideas. Are there any more bad casting ideas? I'm checking here. Are there any on Twitter? Let me check real quick. Nope, I don't have any more notifications. But please, if you have any bad casting ideas, reply to my tweet, which I'm putting in the chat again, and put your bad casting ideas with the hashtag bad casting ideas. Or if you don't have any, just go and retweet mine. I think it's a funny hashtag considering Julia Roberts was suggested. How did they even suggest her to be Harriet Tubman? I don't get it. I just don't get it. I get she was a hot actor at the time. That's like, okay. When they made the movie X, Malcolm X, that would be like, instead of Denzel Washington, that would be like suggesting William Shatner to play Malcolm X. There's something that doesn't quite fit. Now I get it. They made Hamilton, and they're Hamiltonizing a lot of characters, especially redheads. And that's why the absolute perfect bad casting idea would be Carrot Top as Frederick Douglass, because it's the Revenge of the Redheads. In fact, I could do that. Revenge of the Redheads, right? Robert De Niro as Trump. That's a good one. So, in fact, I think I'm going to add that William Shatner one. I think before they got Denzel Washington, they had asked William Shatner, but he turned the role down as Malcolm X. All right, people, I do got to go. I thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate you so much. We're here Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, 3 p.m. GMT for people in other parts of the world, like Richie, who's in Australia and is so kind to be up this late at night. It is like, what is it, 2:30 in the morning, Richo? Do you ever sleep? I don't know, but that's okay. I appreciate you so much for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, I really, really appreciate you coming today. We'll be here tomorrow again on Thursday. It is FTG Thursday. I bet I'll have a few of those ready for tomorrow, but if you have nominations for FTG Thursday, you can send them to me via my Twitter DMs or my email, which is pdognight@gmail.com. Thank you for being here today on the Morning Night Live. I am P Dog Night, and I'm out of here. Have a fantastic Wednesday. Hey, this is P-Dog Knight, and thank you for watching today on the P-Dog Knight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterward so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through the Streamlabs link, which is also in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P-Dog Knight, and I'm out of here.
Like on the road, you have it, so you could just go out and drive you.